Found out my wife, 34 female, is having an affair. I'm, 38 male, devastated and stuck on what to do next. I've never been one to go through my partner's stuff. I always thought that trust was a foundation for a good relationship, but recently, something felt off with my wife. I can't quite explain it, just a gut feeling. So I ended up snooping on her computer one time when she was out, and God, in a way, I wish I hadn't. There were screen records from a video chat of this guy jerking off while my wife's face watched from a tiny square at the bottom. She was naked and looked like she might be doing stuff herself. I nearly threw up and had a headache the whole day. I did some snooping in her Facebook account and found messages where she's complaining about our relationship to this guy. She's putting on a facade of a woman stuck in a bad marriage with an uncaring partner and says shit like, "I wish I'd met you earlier," and "I'm stuck with OP who doesn't treat me right." The other guy agrees and says if he's given the chance, he'll welcome her with open arms. Oh well, he's married. It's been almost a week since I found out, and she doesn't know I know. I've been pretending everything's normal while feeling sick inside. I'm just horrified and disgusted. I thought we were solid. I've been a good husband, given her a good life, and I'm horrified that this is what I get in return. This can't be real. Here's my dilemma. I know if I confront her, she's gonna flip it back on me. I can already see the argument in my head. How dare you violate my privacy? She'll completely brush off the fact that she's cheating and make it all about how I snooped. She's the type who can turn it up to 11 with the yelling and accusations. I don't do well with that. I get flustered. My mind blanks out, and all the things I want to say just vanish. There's also no telling how crazy she'll get when confronted. I've read many a horror stories on here, how unsuspecting men ended up with charges for domestic abuse they did not commit. As of right now, we have a pretty comfortable life. She came with nothing to this marriage, and over the duration of our marriage, contributed nothing. So naturally, I'm terrified of losing half of what I've worked my ass off for. When we met, she was living in a crappy one-bedroom apartment with 2 other women, working a minimum wage job and living off scraps. She came from a really tough family situation and was raised by a single mom. I basically pulled her out of that shithole and gave her a much better life. I myself grew up watching my single mom barely scrape by and was empathetic of her situation struggling financially. But she shat where she ate. So yeah, I'm stuck. I don't know how to bring this up without turning it into a total shit show. Part of me wants to pack my bags and be done with it, but I know that's easier said than done. Has anyone been in a similar situation? How the hell do I approach this without everything blowing up in my face? Any advice or insight would be great. Update. So, after sitting on the information for several days, I decided to confront my wife about what I found. I didn't bring up the screen recordings or go into the explicit details. I just told her I knew she'd been talking to someone else and that I'd seen enough to know it wasn't appropriate. She was caught off guard and immediately went into damage control mode. She said it was nothing serious because they'd never met in person and it was all just talk online. She said she was feeling lonely, felt disconnected from me, and that this guy was just giving her attention that she felt was missing. She said she knew it was wrong and was about to cut it off anyway. She kept insisting it wasn't physical, and since they never met up, it shouldn't be considered a real affair. I let her talk, let her make her excuses, and told her that I needed space to figure out if I could even consider working this out. She again tried saying that it wasn't a real affair, but I told her whether it was physical or not, this was a betrayal, so she had to move out and give me the space I need. She protested a bit and said we could fix things together, but I told her it was the only way I'd even consider working it out. Otherwise, I'm pulling the plug. She didn't like this arrangement at all, but she eventually agreed. I didn't give her any money or support when she left. I needed her to feel the true effects my absence in her life would bring. Take her back down the memory lane when her and her mom were dumpster living. A week later, she was practically begging to come back. She said she was starving and she'd even gone to a soup kitchen at one point because she was hungry. She kept saying she'd do anything to prove she was serious about making things right. I told her I'd consider taking her back if she signed a postnup in my favor. I framed it like, if you're really committed to working things out, you should be willing to sign this to show me you're serious about redeeming yourself. She jumped at the chance and was back at home within the day. Now, I'm getting a lawyer to draw up a postnup that'll protect all my assets. I'm playing nice and pretending to be hurt, but also moved by her willingness to work things out. But I'm planning to get my ducks in a row and file for divorce once the postnup's locked in. For anyone wondering why I'm going this route, it's because I want to make sure I don't get screwed over financially after everything I've put into this relationship. I don't have a lot, but everything I have was earned through my blood, sweat, and tears. I'm not about to lose half of what I've built because she got bored and looked elsewhere for some fun. I'll update again once the postnup is signed and I've moved forward with the next phase. Hopefully I can get this sorted out. Update 3. My lawyer drew up the postnup. It states that in the event of a divorce, the house, the car, and all my savings stay with me. No alimony, no splitting assets, just a clean break. My lawyer advised I arrange for my wife to have her own lawyer or else the courts can claim coercion and dismiss the postnup. Her lawyer advised her not to sign it. They told her it was pretty much the worst deal she could agree to and that she'd be left with next to nothing. But she signed it anyway. Desperation will do that, I guess. She's been so rattled the past few days that I'd changed my mind about working things out and she'd be on the streets. The moment she put her name on that dotted line, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. She thought it was a moment of us recommitting to each other, but I was celebrating something else entirely: my freedom. That night, I played the part of the loving husband who's willing to give things another shot. I took her out to a nice restaurant, pulled out all the stops. We ordered good food, drank some expensive wine, and she was all smiles, probably thinking this was the beginning of our fresh start. I guess, in a way, it was, just not in the way she thinks. I'd be walking out the door soon. I already got one foot. As soon as the postnup is made official, my lawyer will draw the divorce papers up. She has no idea what's coming. I'm giving it a bit more time, keeping up the act until the dust settles, and then I'll be filing for divorce. She won't see it coming, and when it does, there won't be anything left for her to take from me. Thanks again to everyone who's been following along and offering support and advice. I'll be back with another update once the final steps are in motion. Almost there. Final update. It's been about 8 months since my last update, and a lot has gone down. Right after my wife signed the postnup, I waited a bit to make sure till my lawyer got his papers in order, then I filed for divorce. After I served her those papers, shit hit the fan. She was shocked that I'd do such a thing. At first she tried turning waterworks on, and when that failed to have any effect, she tried to guilt trip me and saying she was pressured into signing the postnup, that she only did it to prove her love, and that I was being heartless. She kept saying things like, "How could you do this after I signed those stupid papers too?" I just told her it was over and that she needed to leave the house. She refused and said that it was her house too. Things got crazy pretty fast after that. She started saying she had nowhere to go and that I was abandoning her. She called in her hen party, basically a group of other equally dramatic friends, for backup. They'd come around, make a scene, yell at me from the driveway, and basically tried to shame me into letting her stay. I finally had to let her stay temporarily, just to prevent things from getting convoluted. But it didn't stop there. She started breaking things around the house accidentally. She knocked over a bookshelf by mistake, accidentally broke a lamp, and once spilled a full pot of coffee all over my carpet, claiming she was just stressed. It got to the point where I had to ask my brother to move in with me for a while, just to help keep things from getting even worse. I figured his presence might intimidate her, especially when I wasn't around. That's when she tried to pull a new stunt and claimed domestic abuse. She called the cops on us, saying she felt threatened with my brother around. Fortunately, the cops saw through her BS pretty quick. After that incident, I decided to cover my back and installed cameras all over the house. She was really upset about that. But even with the cameras, things were unbearable. Her friends would come over, party, and leave the living room trashed. Spilled drinks, food everywhere, even the occasional broken glass. This nonsense went on for 3 long months while the divorce was being processed. It was a constant battle just to keep my sanity intact. Finally, the day came when the divorce was finalized. The postnup held up perfectly in court, and she had to leave my place. She left the house sobbing, with her hen party in tow, who called me every name in the book. Brute, monster, heartless bastard, you name it, they screamed it. I just watched them go and didn't engage even when one of them got in my face. I had won, nothing else mattered. Now, I'm still cleaning up the mess they left behind, both literally and figuratively. She probably did about $3,000 worth of damage in those final months, but I'm not even gonna bother with small claims court. I just want it all behind me. I'm finally free from all that chaos and betrayal. It's gonna take a bit of time to get everything back to normal, but at least now I'm free from all the drama.